In just 2 months, all across India, a student at a festival, a priest in his own temple, and even the nation's top judge were all targeted. Now, these weren't just random, isolated acts of violence. They were part of a really troubling pattern. And in this explainer, we're going to dig in and uncover what connects them all. Just look at this map. We're talking about Rajasthan in the west, all the way down to Tamil Nadu in the south. From Gujarat to the capital, New Delhi. I mean, these places are separated by thousands of kilometers. But these events share a common, pretty disturbing thread that's rooted in some very old social hierarchies. So let's unpack what that really means. So what can we possibly learn when a pattern like this emerges everywhere, from a small village festival all the way to the nation's highest court? Well, to really get the full picture, let's start where these conflicts so often begin, in the shared spaces of our everyday lives. Okay, so this first group of incidents we're going to look at took place on what should be totally neutral ground. A festival, a village, a school. These are the places where communities are supposed to come together, but instead they became the sites of really violent exclusion. Let's start in Gujarat on September 30th. There's a 25-year-old engineering student named Riku Vankar. She's a member of the Dalit community, which has historically been at the bottom of India's caste system. And she's at a public Garba celebration. Then, out of nowhere, she's allegedly attacked. Her hair is pulled, and she's told flat out that she does not belong there. And the alleged motive? It was stated so plainly. They are not our equals. You see, this wasn't just some personal fight. It was a public declaration of a social hierarchy, literally drawing a line in the sand, right in the middle of a community festival. And, this wasn't just a one-off thing, not by a long shot. The same pattern of public violence popped up in other places. In Uttar Pradesh, a Dalit man was lynched by a mob simply because they suspected him of theft. And down in Tamil Nadu, a Dalit student was brutally attacked with a knife by his own classmate right inside their school. In every single one of these cases, a public space became a site for targeted violence. Now, in response to these incidents, police kept turning to one specific, very powerful law, the SC/ST Prevention of Atrocities Act. This isn't for your standard assault charge. It was created for the specific purpose of protecting members of India's scheduled castes and tribes from discrimination and violence. It's meant to provide a real legal path to justice in a system where they have historically been pushed to the margins. So we've seen what happens in public squares, but the conflict over space only escalates from there. Now we're going to look at incidents where the battleground wasn't a shared space, but a sacred or a private one, where a person's mere presence was treated like it was some kind of contamination. Back in August, in Rajasthan, this conflict moved into a place of worship. A Dalit priest and his family were attacked by a huge mob, we're talking 50 or 60 people, at the very temple where he served. They were beaten, the temple's donation boxes were smashed, and an FIR was filed under that same SC/ST Act. And yet, when this was reported, not a single arrest had been made. Then, in Himachal Pradesh, something just truly tragic happened. A 12-year-old Dalit boy was allegedly locked inside a cowshed by 3 women after he entered their home while he was playing. The boy later died by suicide, which prompted his father to file a police complaint. And the reason they allegedly gave for locking this little boy up? His presence had defiled their home. This really gets to the absolute heart of the conflict. This deeply, deeply ingrained belief that a person's very identity can physically pollute a space. All right, this is where the story takes a really significant turn. We're moving on from social spaces now and into the highest institutions of the state, where the people being targeted weren't just ordinary citizens. No, these were people who held significant positions of power. So get this. In Haryana, a senior police officer, Y. Puran Kumar, was found dead. His wife filed a complaint, and she alleged that he was driven to suicide by caste-based harassment from his own senior officials. An FIR has now been lodged against 2 very high-ranking officers, and a special investigation team has been put together. The alleged discrimination here wasn't coming from a mob. It was coming from inside the state's own hierarchy. And then we have what might be the most shocking event of them all, an unprecedented attack inside the Supreme Court of India. A lawyer tried to throw a shoe at the Chief Justice, B.N. Gavai, who is a member of the Dalit community, all while shouting slogans. I mean, this just doesn't happen. The slogan being shouted was, "Will not tolerate insult to Sanatin."
Now, Sanatan Dharma is a term that's often used to refer to Hinduism, and in today's politics, it's frequently used by Hindu nationalists. And while the attacker's exact motive is still debated, officials like Union Minister Ramdas Athale explicitly called it an attack that was linked to the Chief Justice's Dalit identity.
This is such a critical turning point in the pattern we're seeing. The violence wasn't just happening out in villages or towns anymore. It had actually penetrated the highest levels of India's law enforcement and judicial systems, targeting the very people who are supposed to symbolize the authority and order of the entire state. So we've looked at these events across all these different spheres of life, public, private, and institutional. Let's pull back and look at this 2-month period as a whole. What patterns really start to emerge? When you actually lay the events out on a timeline like this, the closeness is just startling. From August 14th to October 7th, that's less than 2 months, we see this relentless succession of attacks. This isn't some abstract annual statistic. It's a snapshot of a constant, simmering conflict that's playing out across the entire country in real time. And the victims of this violence, they came from every single level of society. They were children, students, priests, and laborers. But they were also a senior police officer and the Chief Justice of India himself. This pattern shows that absolutely no one, regardless of their age, their location, or their official position, was immune. So if we pull all these threads together, what have we really learned? Well, we've seen a pattern of violence that is geographically widespread. It's happening everywhere from rural villages to the Supreme Court. It's targeting a completely diverse range of victims, and in almost every single case, the legal system is responding by using that same specific law designed to protect these communities. And that leaves us with one final, really crucial question. When a pattern of violence touches every single level of a society, from a child in a village all the way to the nation's highest judge, what does that signify about the challenges that still remain?